Okay, so when we talk about formatting, we're talking about making your document look better, more eye-appealing, easier to read, certain information popping out that you want to emphasize. A lot of reasons for doing it, but you definitely have to do it to some degree, pretty much in any document that you put together. Most of your formatting is going to be found in the Home tab, all right? But other formatting as well, you're going to find in the Design tab, you're going to find it in the Layout, and so forth. So it just depends on the type of formatting that you're going to do, but most of the formatting is pretty much in the Home tab area. There's some other formatting that you can actually apply via the keyboard, and you'll see a little bit of that as well. Okay, so let's first of all look at the bold, italic, and underline format. So first thing you want to do is select the text that you want to apply it to. This is not always going to have to be the case, but when it comes to specific formatting like bolding and coloring and things like that, you will have to select the area. There's other types of formatting that affect an entire paragraph, and you just have to be somewhere in the paragraph. But for these kind of things, you definitely need to select it. So let's just say that we want the words "powerful way" to be bolded. All right, so we can actually go ahead and just kind of drag this like that. All right, and we can go ahead and hit bold. Pretty cool. You can make it italic if you wanted to. You can even underline it, do all those things. Might be a little too much, but you get the idea. Now, if you look back on it, you say, you know what, I think I want to maybe remove the underlining. That might be a little bit too much. So what you do is you just kind of select that same area, all right, that you formatted, go back up into here, and you'll see how all three of these are still pushed in, so they're on basically for this area. So we'll just go ahead and we'll click onto that, and that will then get rid of it. Now, you'll notice that there's like a little drop down arrow with the underline, and the reason for it is this. Let's say that you want to prove your point, okay? So we want to maybe underline that, all right? So we'll select that range, hit that little drop down arrow, and look at all these different kinds of formats that you can do. So you've got single, you've got double, you've got thicker, and then you've got different dashes here. You've got a squiggly underline. You can even go over here where it says more underlines or underline color and pick, you know, a color that you'd like to underline it with. So in this case, let's say we wanted to go with red. There's your red underline, right? If you went the other route, let me just say fits your document. Let's say we take that selection there, hit the drop down, go over to where it says more underlines. That opens up our dialog box. Now this dialog box would have come up as well if we clicked onto the dialog box button, all right? But it takes you into here. And what we can do is in this underline style, if you click onto it, it'll have just words only. So if you click onto that, oh, get down there, there it goes. And we'll go ahead and hit OK. There we go, and then it just underlines the words. Pretty cool. You know, it just depends on what you feel fits your document. Is it going to be like a solid underline going over the spaces? Is it one that has some color to it, you know, other than black? That's up to you. So you're the architect, you're the designer for this. There's no wrong. It might look bad, but there's no wrong for what you do to your document as far as formatting goes, right? Okay, so anyway. Now another thing we can look at is the sizing of our text. Let's say, for instance, with these headings here, what we like to do is maybe select this, all right? Now, because this is a paragraph, I could have also gone there and just done a triple click on there, and it would highlight the whole thing. Now I do that, and now as far as the size goes, I've got the, I used to say it was the big A and little a, but I think they're almost the same size. I think this one's probably a little smaller. But this would reduce the size, and this would increase it. You also have that little arrow in there that kind of shows you. So if you were to hit the up arrow, it brings it up to the next notch. What happens is if you hit the little drop down arrow here, you'll see the scale of numbers. So when you're hitting the up and down, A's here, it's actually just kind of following that list. So to me, it seems to be a little bit more convenient if I'm going to be picking something from that list, just to very quickly just go through and rifle through going like that or going like that to get it to just the size that I want. Now another thought, when we're talking about, the font and everything, is this guy right here. This is the change case tool. And what you can do here is take a selection, click onto that, and it shows you all the different ways you can make it look. So sentence case means that if maybe, let's say you highlighted an entire, let's say a whole sentence, it would make the first letter capitalized. Or if you highlighted a whole paragraph and everything was all lowercase, you can say sentence case and the first letter of each word would go caps. The thing about that, though, is that you've got an automatic setting in there, an auto correct feature that makes capital the first letter of each word, or of the first word in each of your sentences. So that's probably not the biggest thing, but thinking about the fact that if somebody maybe had typed this whole thing all in caps, it's a great little tool. Well, I'll show you here. So anyway, so you take this, you say, okay, I want to make this uppercase, right? So you click on uppercase, there it is, all right? So there it goes. Now, let me show you the other thing with this. Let's say that somebody had typed this up. Maybe somebody typed this for you, or maybe you did it, thinking this is going to look good. So let's say you typed it up, and you did it all in uppercase. So there it is. So after you got done typing maybe that, as well as the rest of the document, you look back and you say, oh, this is not looking good here. I want to get this to where it looks normal. In this case, it would be like the sentence case. So what you could do here is select that area, all right? And then go back up into here and tell it that you want to go with the sentence case. So when you do that, it does that for you. Now, the only thing you have to watch out for is that any of the proper nouns that you might have there, like names of cities or companies, things like that, are not going to go caps for you. Everything's going to go lowercase unless it starts out in the sentence. So think about that as well. The other one that they have, and this is also a feature that's kind of made so where you don't do this accidentally, is it used to be where if you had your caps lock on and didn't really realize it, and you were sitting there typing away on the keyboard, not looking up at the screen because you can't type. So you're having to look at the keyboard the whole time. So you're typing and typing and typing, and then you look back up there and you notice that the whole thing is like reverse. In other words, this is what it's going to look like. It's the toggle case here. So it ends up, maybe looking like something like that. All right. Now, usually the program kind of guards against that and makes it so where it won't do that. But, just in case it isn't set on for your machine, you're going to go, okay, now what am I going to do with this, right? So I don't want to make it all lowercase. I want to make it uppercase. What do I want to do? I want to make it sentence case, right? So I'll just go ahead and triple click that, go back into here, click on the sentence case, and there we go. Now, it got a little confused. It's a little messed up there, right? So to get around that, you go back up into here, you make it all lowercase, all right? Then go back in there and make it sentence case, and there you go. All right, so that kind of fixes that up. That's about it. You've got this capitalize each word. That's pretty much another thing you can do. So in this case, for this one here, you might say, well, I typed it in that way, but maybe what I'll do instead is I'll go back in there and change this to capitalize each word, and it does something like that. That's not really the best look anyway, because you've got your pronouns in here, and usually it's like video in the is all lowercase. So you can see on here, I do a right click, hit in, right, and there it goes, and then the region. So I guess it's thinking maybe regions is like a proper noun. It's like a place or something like this. So the regions, it's okay with keeping the capital T there. But if it wasn't, you can always go back in there like that, backspace, hit the letter T, and you're set. Now I've got another kind of an alternative to this caps look. I mean, because usually when you do something all in caps, it's just too much. Now watch this. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to select this. I'm going to put this back into, we're going to make it capitalize each word, something like that, okay? So we'll do that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make this a certain kind of capital, all right? In other words, what we have up here is just plain old, uppercase, right? Making it all capitals, right? Well, we also have something called small case, or I'm sorry, small cap, sorry. Small caps, all right? Now watch this. We go into the dialog box. So in this area here, in the font area grouping there, we're going to hit the font dialog right here. This opens up, and there's a choice in here called small caps, all right? So you click onto that, and look what it does here for you. So you hit OK, and what in essence it's doing here is everything's still in caps, but the original uppercase is made a little bit bigger than the lowercase. So the lowercase is made into a small case, and the larger, and then the capitals, the original capitals, are made into just a larger capital case. So it has, I think, it has a pretty neat look to it. So keep that one in mind. That's a good one there. Now another little format we have here is this one right here. It's called strikethrough, and what it's really kind of used for mostly is if somebody maybe hands you this document, maybe they're sharing this document with you, and they want you to kind of go through it and add what you think needs to be added and to remove what you think it needs to be removed. But instead of maybe removing certain things, what you'll do is you'll go in there and you'll strike it out. So let's just say, for instance, you're looking at this paragraph right here, right? Oh, let's do this one here, or this sentence right here. So I'm going to go ahead and hold down my control key, click anywhere on the sentence there, and that's going to highlight the whole thing there. Now, what I'm going to do is go up into my font area here, hit my strike through, and there it goes. That's pretty neat. Now, if you really want to go far with this, let's go. I'm just going to go ahead and, well, I'll do a different one here. So I'm going to select now this this sentence in the paragraph. So I'll click onto that. There's a sentence, right? So I'm going to go into the dialog box here, all right? And here we have double strike through, all right? I know you feel special, don't you? You feel empowered with this, don't you? Double strike through. So you click onto that, hit OK, and that really makes it look like it's intended to get rid of here. So let's say somebody did that to your document, and you look at it and you say, I appreciate the suggestion, but I want to keep that in there. So what you're going to do is you're going to select this again. So I'm going to do my control click, and it's going to select the whole thing there, the whole sentence. Then I'm going to go back into the font dialog and take that check mark off. See? Hit OK, and now it's back to the way it was beforehand. Once in a while, you might want to change the color of your text in certain areas just to kind of emphasize them as maybe an additional thing that you can do over and above, maybe making it bold or something like that, right? So we can actually, let's just say, select on here, matching cover page, okay? And we want that to be a different color. So we select that. We go up here into the font area, hit the little drop-down arrow next to the font color, and as you hover over the colors there, you'll see them kind of change before your very eyes. You might say, okay, I want to make this maybe kind of an off red here, this dark red they call it. We'll click onto that. Now another option that you have is this little tool here called the highlighter. And what we can do here either is to select the text ahead of time and then choose a color of your highlight, or choose the color ahead of time, and then that way you can do more than one area. So we'll do it both ways. You can see this. So let's just say I want to take this area right here, and I want that to be highlighted, right? So we go up into here now. The default is yellow, so you could click onto the face there if you wanted yellow, or hit the little drop down. You've got all of these other colors to choose from as well. So if you want to go with the traditional yellow, you just go ahead and click onto that, and there it goes. Now that's it, it's off. Now, if your intention was to do a number of different areas, the better way then would be to go back up here and choose the color that you want to go with. So if you want to go with yellow, we'll just choose yellow, or you can hit the face there, either one. Click onto that, and now you'll see your pointer now has like a little marker hanging off of it there. So now I can go over to here, select that. I can go over here, select that, and all that. And then when I'm all done, I can either hit the button once up here to turn it off or hit the escape key. Now later on, you decide that you don't want this area to have that yellow highlight. So what you do is you'll go back up to here. Well, a couple ways. Again, you go up to here, choose no color. So now we got the no color, and I can select that and get rid of it, and I can select that and get rid of it, right? And then I'll just go ahead and hit my escape key, and that turns that off. All right, now another tool that we have that kind of goes along with maybe the, making things caps and things like that is this little button right here. And this one is called the text effects and typography. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select this heading, just like that, which already has the small caps applied to it, but we'll just go with it anyway. We take that, you hit this little button here, all right, and you've got it's just a ton of stuff you can do. So you can actually kind of make the text into like an art form almost, right, using any of these here. So if you can kind of see in the background a little bit of it, what happens as we're hovering over each of these. I would say that most of them are pretty bad, all right, but there's going to be one that you're going to find maybe that looks pretty good, all right. So either maybe something like this one here, these couple here, maybe down here, you've got a couple here that might look okay, all right, but either way, it's pretty good. And I would tell you too, probably the larger your text is, the better this is going to be with most of these, all right. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go with this guy right here. Click onto that, and there it goes. See, so click away from it. Kind of has a kind of a shadowy look to it. Now, what you can also do is reselect it, go back in that drop down arrow there, and you got the outline. All right, so the outline is the coloring of the outer boundaries of the font. All right, so if I went in there and I said, okay, I want to make it red. I don't know if you can see that. You see the red. You see a little bit of black in there. All right, but the thickness of, or the border of each of the letters is what's changing in color there. So you got those. All right. You can also go and change the weight of that thickness. So if you have a really large font, you can actually change the thickness of the border. All right. And as you can see here, it gets pretty blurry when you get too big of a border in there. I'm not going to really do anything with that one. The other one I like, though, is the shadow, all right? And you've got all these different kinds of shadowing that you can do. So as you see me hovering over that, you can kind of see it changing over there in that video area there, right? So there it is. You've got all these different ones in there. You might say, well, I don't know, maybe that one there. Click onto that. We also have the reflection in there, see? Now this one's pretty wild. Look at that. You can kind of see the reflection off the like the tabletop there almost, right? That has its place. I don't think I'll use it all the time, but you got something there. We also have the glow. This is pretty wild. Look what it does there. And then we got number styles and all that. Now, the number styles is if you've got numbers that you've selected, and you want the number to really kind of stand out a little bit more and not look like it's all crunched together and things like that. So they've got some very minor little things you can do with that. We're not going to worry about that right now. The ligatures, very interesting. As you can see here, if you had like the letter F and I together, that's how it looks, right? If you have it looking like that, it basically gets rid of the dot over the I. This one gets a little bit different, a little bit different, a little bit different. All right, so it's just basically to get away that, I guess, when we have characters paired together, it kind of makes them fit better. And I think a good one right here, this is pretty interesting here, like a Q and an E. So you got the Q, and then that little tail on the Q kind of goes under the U, right? So it's pretty interesting on that one. There's a font called Papyrus that's a pretty popular one, and it has a lot of that sometimes happening. So I mean, that where this, if you did this, it makes it kind of fit a little bit better together there. But that's something you can maybe play with on your own. But very, very interesting stuff here. This this is pretty much the kind of stuff that kind of makes this transform from just being a word processor to almost a desktop publishing type program. You know, so it's probably not going to be up there with some of the other ones, you know, from Adobe and all that, but overall you can really come up with some very nice looking documents with all this formatting that they give you that you can play around with there. And this last one here is just the style sets here, and it kind of gives you an idea of what you can do with there. So what we've got selected right now is video in the regions. Do you like it the way it looks there, or do you like any of those other ones, right? So if you say, oh, that might be kind of interesting, maybe this one right here. So I click onto that, and there we go. All right, so again, you know, just things that you can kind of play around with there. Now another area that we can look at is this thing with the subscript and superscript. All right, think of the subscript as being like submarine, and the super being in the air like Superman, right? Now let me just do something real quick. I'm going to type in something like our company, Acme. Okay, I'll just put Acme here. Is the premier corporate enterprise. Whatever the heck that means, right? All right, but I want to show you here is, let's just say we have a registered trademark for Acme, okay? So what we want to do here is we want to put that R that has like the circle in it, kind of like what you see when you see a copyright symbol. Well, this is an R. What you can do is right where we're at here, you type in, and you saw this in maybe previous videos, left parenthesis, the letter R, right? And then a right parenthesis, and the autocorrect will make that into the registered trademark, right? If I select that now, all right, I can then go ahead and make it superscript. And by doing that, it makes it a little bit smaller, and it pushes it up in the air, which I think makes it look better than the other one. On the flip side, if you had, let's say, the trademark that you want to use, let's say for Chicago here, I would do like a left parenthesis TM and then right parenthesis, and there it is there. That already went into superscript, so we don't have to do anything with that, but that's, you know, another example. If you wanted to do something, some sort of like a chemical equation, such as something like H2O, you know, pretty common one there. To make H2O your document look, I mean, it's not going to make any sense here, but let's say I've got H, I got the number 2, and I've got the O, right? And let's say also I want to put a 3 in there. So somehow it's H2O with a little bit of ozone. Hydrogen, 2 parts of hydrogen and 1 part or 3 parts ozone, whatever. Here's what we want to do though. I want to make the 2 go down. So I'm going to select that 2 and hit the superscript, or the subscript I should say, right? And then I'm going to select the number 3 here and make that superscript. And there we go. That's not too bad. All right, now another area we can look at here, I'm going to go back into the, well, first of all, I'm going to select some text here. All right, I'm going to show you something here. So select that. All right, and then I'm going to go into the dialog box. All right, and that takes me into my into the dialog box for font, basically. And we've pretty much done most of what you see in this layer here. But if we go back over into the advanced, okay, this is where we can actually go in there and change the spacing. The ligature stuff, we had that over in the that other area that we were in just before. But I wanted to show you the spacing here. You know, actually, let me just pop out of here real quick. I want to show you this one right here. Now, this text right here looks good. I feel that there's a little bit, there's too few space. There's a small amount of space between each of the letters in here. I'd like to maybe increase that just a little bit, kind of spread it out. So when we go back into the dialog and go into advanced, we have the spacing in here, all right? Now we can click onto that and go with expanded or condensed. Now, you don't have to do this. You can just just jump over here and it will automatically change. So what happens is if you want to add space, you would just go over to here and increase the number. So as the number gets larger, you can see in the sample down here at the bottom how that changes, see? And if you go the other way, it's going to squeeze it even more. So maybe bring it up to maybe a 2 point of space. Remember, I said in a previous video that there are 72 points to an inch. So if you were to change this to 72, that would give you an inch of space between each of your characters. That'd be a little too much. Anyway, so you do that. You hit OK. And it spreads it out a little bit. And that might be a little too much, but we're just going to leave it. But you get the idea. You can sit there and play with it if you're on your own with it. Now we have some another tool, I should say, where we can actually copy the formatting of something and apply just the formatting to another area. In other words, normally when you do a copy and a paste, you're basically copying not only the text, but also whatever the formatting is, and you'd be pasting it somewhere else. But what I want to do is I want to copy just the formatting, let's say of this, or anything else, and apply it somewhere else. And the reason for it is that the amount of time it took me to do this, I want to save that time by just saying, hey, whatever this looks like, I want to apply that same look to this one right here. And we had maybe 4 or 5 different things we did to this, all right? So how do we do that? Well, what you'll first of all do is you'll select the area that you did the format, or that you have the formatting in that you like and that you want to copy, right? Now you can either do this by just clicking anywhere in there, or you can select the whole thing or part of it. It doesn't really matter, but just somewhere in there, all right? And then what you do is you go into the Home tab here, and you have this Format Painter, all right? Now when you click onto that, all right, it then kind of changes a little bit, kind of gives you a little paintbrush action there. And what you can do is you can go right to the beginning of this right here, select that, let go, and look at that. That's pretty cool, all right? Again, if you want to do it again, you can go ahead, click on to that one if you want. And if you feel that you're going to be doing this many times, what you can do instead is, instead of just clicking it once, so you're on here, right? Instead of just clicking it once, you double click it, all right? So when you double click it, now what happens is I can go down here to Honolulu, go off to the side here in the margin. Remember before I was talking about how you can like select a line just being out in the margin? I can click that, boom, that's fixed. Scroll down a little bit further, all right, there's Tampa. I can do the same thing there, and so on and so forth. When I'm all done, and I don't want to do it anymore, all I have to do is just hit the Escape key, and that turns it off, or I can hit the Format Painter button. All right, now one more tool I want to show you, and then I'll let you go. I know this is kind of a long video here, but we have a feature called Redo, or Repeat, I'm sorry. So we have Undo, Redo, and Repeat, basically, right? So for instance, if I were maybe to go over to this area right here, and I go, I'm going to take that, and I'm going to delete it. So I hit my delete key, it goes away, right? Now, if I say, oh, wait a minute, that was a mistake, I can just go over here and hit undo, all right? And it brings it back. I can go to here, to the redo, and redo basically undoes my undo. So I hit that one. And then if I hit undo again, undo undoes what redo undid that I didn't really want to do. Anyway, so that's that part right now. Let's say that I went to, let's say this word right here. I'm going to double click it, right? And I'm going to go back into my dialog box. I go back into the font area, and I'm going to say, okay, I want to make this bold. I want to make it a little bit bigger, make it 14, all right? I want to make it strike through, and I want the font to be, let's say, red, and I think that's about it. So it's all those things I just did there, right? Now I hit OK, and there it goes. So that changed that one. Now, if you look at the redo up here, remember we were talking about that before? When you point to it now it says repeat font formatting, see? So if I go over to, let's say, document over here, and I select that, right? I'll go back over here and click on the repeat. Bingo, it goes like that, it changes, right? And it stays in place. So I can actually go over here and select that and hit repeat. I can go to here, select that and hit repeat, all right? Now, whether you find that to be easier than doing the format painter, it's up to you. But see, what this one does is it remembers whatever the last set of formatting that you did, and it repeats that. So it's going to be kind of limited. I think the format painter would work out better for you in the long run. And the other thing too is you notice how I'd gone into the dialog box and picked those different formats. The reason why I did that is because if I would have done it here, okay, and I said, okay, I'm going to make it bold, I'm going to change the color, make it, strike through, then when I would go back up there and tell it I want to repeat the formatting, it would only repeat the very last format that I did, not all 3 or 4 of those things that I did there, right? So that's why it is kind of limiting. And one last thing, and I'll let you go here, sorry about this. This guy right here, clear all formatting. If you select, let's say this guy right here, all right? And you go back in here and click on the clear all formatting, boom. It takes you all the way back to the very beginning. So it removes everything that you had on there. So if I go here to Chicago and select that, all right, and go ahead and remove it, that all goes away, see? If I select this whole range here, all right, that has all kinds of stuff in it, go back in there and click onto this remove format or clear all formatting, click that, there it goes. What's kind of interesting though, for some reason it doesn't consider highlighting to be formatting. I have no idea, all right? And you know how to get rid of that, but that's the only thing that you don't get rid of with that. All right, so I think that's it. So hopefully some of this will come in handy for what you're doing. I appreciate you watching the video. Take care.